The college football season may be over, but we're not done here on College Football Now by Chat Sports. For the best college football coverage on YouTube, you got to subscribe. The bosses want to know, can we get 20 subs off today's video? If we can, we'll bring you even more college football content throughout the offseason. Subscribe now for free, and we'll get started with today's show. The dawn of a new era is here in college football. The 12-team expanded playoff begins next season in the 2024 through 2025 campaign, and we will continue to ask the billion-dollar question of who is in on this edition of College Football Now. Our panel has come together, and we have voted on and put together our official Chat Sports projections for the first ever 12-team playoff next season. Before we show you our projections, let's begin dissecting how this all works for the new format. The 5 automatic bids are given to the highest-ranked conference champions. 7 at-large bids are handed out to the highest remaining ranked teams. Now, that's not actually officially finalized yet, but that's expected to be the format there. There will be 4 first-round buys for the top 4 conference champions, so you'll see that the top 4 seeds will all be those top 4 conference champions. You might not be the 4th highest-ranked team in the country, but when you put in the 4th highest spot going to conference champions, then that could slide you above what your actual ranking is. The 5 through 8 seeds, they will get to host first-round playoff games. While the top 4 seeds have buys, 5 through 8 will be hosting playoff games in that round to advance ultimately to the quarterfinals. So with that, now that we've set the scene, let's show you now our college football playoff projections for next year. We start off the number 1 seed, no surprise, the Georgia Bulldogs, who we project to ultimately win the Southeastern Conference in the first year as a 16-team league with the additions of Oklahoma and Texas. Faces changes, expectations don't. Watch out for the Bulldogs to be the number 1 team in the land again. Number 2, Florida State gets this spot as the ACC champion. Florida State left out of the 4-team playoff this year, but next year they'll be the favorites in the ACC. DJU coming back to the league where he started his career with Clemson. Had a nice run with Oregon State last year. Florida State brings a lot of key contributors back. Watch out for the Noles to win the ACC as the number 2 seed. Their first year in the Big Ten, we are projecting the Oregon Ducks win the Big Ten Conference with new quarterback Dylan Gabriel coming in from Oklahoma. Dan Lanning in his third year with Oregon, first year in the Big Ten. Watch out for the Ducks to have a big season. And then as the Big 12 champion, taking our final 4 spots of the automatic bids of conference champions, we project the Arizona Wildcats to win the Big 12 conference in their first year in that league. Jed Fish has done a really good job with that team. They had a nice Alamo Bowl win over Oklahoma, a lot of momentum for the Wildcats, so that locks up the first 4 spots. Now, 5 through 12, these are the at-large bids. We were told this year you can't have a college football playoff without an SEC team. And in a 12-team format, probably can't have a playoff without Alabama, right? We're going with the Tide to have the first at-large bid as the number 5 seed in the postseason. Michigan, the defending national champions. Don't know if Jim Harbaugh is going to be back next year, as well as J.J. McCarthy and others. With that uncertainty, we put them at 6 as an at-large. A lot of hype and expectation this year for Ole Miss, with Lane Kiffin doing a terrific job in the transfer portal with the number 1 transfer portal class. Jackson Dart coming back at the quarterback position. There is some big expectations for this Ole Miss team as a potential title contender. We have them sliding at number 7. Number 8 is the Texas Longhorns. Quinn Ewers expected to be back. Arch Manning waiting in the wings as well. Their first year in the SEC. They do have a tough stretch where they have to play Oklahoma and Georgia back-to-back weeks. But look out for the Texas Longhorns to get back into the playoff for the second straight year. The number 9 seed, we have the Ohio State Buckeyes. Will Howard expected to be their new quarterback. Ryan Day with a lot of pressure as he has not been able to beat Michigan the last few years. Can Ohio State bounce back this season? Number 10, in an at-large spot representing the Big 12 Conference in their first year in that league is the Utah Utes. Utah, a team that is going to get their quarterback Cam Rising back this upcoming year. It's going to be one of the, if not toughest places to play in the new Big 12 Conference. Watch out for the Utah Utes. Number 11, getting our final at-large spot is the Penn State Nittany Lions. Holding this spot, James Franklin and company with Drew Aller and that crew. That team should be fun to watch here in 2024. And then the final spot in the playoff, as one more conference champion gets in, we have that going to Memphis out of the American Athletic Conference, getting the final spot representing the group of 5, getting the automatic bid there. So those are our projections. We'll go over some matchups and how the rest of the playoff schedule shakes out in a moment. But first, grade our first ever 12-team college football playoff projection. What do you guys think? How did we do of our committee? Myself, Harrison Graham, Tom Downey, Brett Scott. Grade our selections. A, B, C, D, or F. Our pinned comment today. Let us know what you think. So that would set up the first round to feature Bama taking on Memphis. I would bet Bama's going to be at least a 28-point favorite in that type of matchup. But credit to Memphis for a strong finish of the year this past season, winning the Liberty Bowl and beating Iowa State out of the Big 12 Conference. Then we get a Big 10 matchup between Michigan and Penn State in the Big House again. A lot of intrigue for that matchup of two very familiar foes. Ole Miss, they get a home game against Utah in the first round, a game that on paper going into this year looks like could go either way. And then this would be the game of the first round that would catch everybody's attention. College game day would be there. We would get Fowler and Herbie calling this one. Number 8, Texas. Number 9, Ohio State in Austin. I mean, if that doesn't get your juices flowing, I don't know what will. Wouldn't that be quite the matchup for our first weekend of first-round games there? Then we move on to the quarterfinals. Georgia would be waiting the winner of Texas and Ohio State in the All-State Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. Well, Florida State would be in the Peach Bowl in Atlanta, awaiting the winner of Mississippi and Utah. Then in the Fiesta Bowl, Arizona would get to play in their own backyard there in Glendale as they would face the winner of Michigan and Penn State. And then in the Rose Bowl, Oregon makes their way back to the Rose Bowl as the number 4 seed, and they would face either Bama or Memphis in that game. From there, we would see in the Cotton Bowl semifinal, the Sugar and Rose Bowl winner. The Orange Bowl would then feature the Peach and Fiesta Bowl winner. And then we get to the College Football Playoff National Championship game where the Cotton and Orange Bowl semifinal winners would face off for the national title. 12 teams. What do you guys think? Do you like the 12-team format? Did you like it better with 4? Maybe you were a fan of the BCS back in the day. Is 12 teams too many? Is it just right? Let us know what you think. I'm excited. More games? Sign me up. Add some spice to this postseason as far as I'm concerned. Y for yes, N for no. Is 12 teams too many? I'm voting no. No, man, no, man, no, man, to quote the great Jim Carrey. Get in that comment section and let us know what you think. Michigan fans, you have reason to celebrate. National champions, and we got national championship gear for you on sale now. Chatsports.com/champs. Celebrate that natty with the hats, the T-shirts, some Jordan brand stuff. I got to tell you, this is awesome, and you want to get it while it's hot now because this stuff is going to go quick. Celebrate Michigan's national title with some of the best gear you're going to find anywhere. Chatsports.com/champs is the place to get it. Chatsports.com/champs to get your Michigan national title gear. So here is the schedule of events for next year's playoff. We'll begin with the first playoff game on December 20th, just a few days before Christmas, with one game. That'll be followed by a triple header on the 21st to conclude the first round. Then on New Year's Eve, we will have the quarterfinals with the Fiesta Bowl. We'll have one game on New Year's Eve night. Then on New Year's Day, It'll be a triple header. You'll get the traditional Rose Bowl on New Year's Day. We'll still get to see the sunset in the mountains, in the San Gabriel Mountains and everything. You'll get the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day and Peach Bowl as well for your quarterfinal games that day. And then a week later, we'll have the semifinals. The first one, the Orange Bowl, will take place on January 9th. The Cotton Bowl semifinal will take place on January 10th. And then we will wrap up the national title game in Atlanta on January 20th. So we'll inaugurate a president in the morning, and then we will crown a national champion in the evening of January 20th, 2025. Some big changes in the college football world in the 2024 season. The SEC expanding to 16 members with the additions of Oklahoma and Texas. The Big Ten going to 18 members with Oregon, UCLA, USC, and Washington. The Big 12, they'll go to 16 as they add Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah. The ACC with 17 football members. Remember, they have the partnership with Notre Dame, puts them at 18 in basketball and other sports, and they'll play some non-conference games with Notre Dame with the additions of Cal, SMU, and Stanford. And then the Pac-2, which still exists under Pac-12 branding, will have a scheduling alliance with the Mountain West. Those two schools, Washington State and Oregon State, will not be eligible for the Mountain West Conference Championship, and they do not qualify as a league under the college football playoff standards of that you have to be in 8 members, have to have 8 schools to be a college football playoff conference, so not eligible for the automatic bid, but those 2 schools would still be eligible for at-large bids to the playoff along with Notre Dame on those same lines there. Thanks for joining us here on this edition of College Football Now. I'm so excited for this season ahead. We're going to cover it. We're counting you down to kick off one season done with. Another countdown begins. Keep it locked in. We have you covered right here on College Football Now.